It's movie time, and we're back again with movie time. Hey, everyone. Hope that you had a great weekend and a great couple of days. And it's Wednesday's movie time, and I'm your host, Grayson. So hopefully that you had a good time. And with me is, you notice we are one small co-host down because Olaf is celebrating his birthday and partying hardy. Go, Olaf! Happy birthday! In the meantime, I also my co-host Arpo. Hey, Arpo, how you doing?
I'm doing good. He gets so hypnotized by that camera.
Yes. And by the way, for those who are wondering, hi Lenny. This is Flat Lenny, otherwise known as my friend's fiance Lenny. So happy birthday, Lenny! If you're going to see it at that time, or otherwise, it's like great to see you. Hi, Lenny.
He's a lot shorter than I remember him.
He is, but a wonderful human being.
Yes.
What a bench. So, yes, that is our plugs for tonight, and for WC also, to be able to have his little turn in the spotlight too.
Yes.
So tonight's episode of Movie Time, we are going to be looking at some of the movies that have happened over our year to date.
That's right.
And talking about some of our successes, some of our failures, and why do we think that those happened in between.
Yes.
So how would we love to get started on this, Arpo?
Well, if we go to the bottom of the list, I don't know if anybody saw a movie called 222. At least a couple people did.
Okay.
But it was the lowest grossing movie of the year so far this year. It came out on June 30th and made a whopping $422.
Wow. Okay. Bad advertising?
Could be. I know I never heard of it. I can't go see a movie if I don't know it's coming out.
No. Who was starring in that movie?
Well, that's a darn good question. Why don't we get our good friends at IMDb to tell us? Ooh, 2:22.
And by the way, when I think of 222s, I think of my pain medicine I used to take.
Oh, no. Nobody likes those. Well, Teresa Palmer, Michael Heisman, Sam Reed, John Waters.
Okay. So it sounds like an interesting cast.
Yes.
By all means, that should have, brought forth some box office. Maybe it was the timing.
Well, it did come out on June 30th.
Now, what else came out on June the 30th that we can all remember?
Let's see. June the 30th was gosh. Somebody came out on June the 30th. And I'll bet you it's somebody that's near the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, Despicable Me 3.
Wow.
Which is the number 5 movie of the year.
There you go. So let me see. It's also a victim of bad timing.
Yes, no advertising, bad timing.
Yep. And as well, it's like obviously poor P&A budget.
Yes. In fact, I would say any movie that opened on June 30th was a case of bad timing because it did not make the top 100.
Yes. And
I mean,
that's
and just to let you know how serious that is,
mhm.
Newsies, the Broadway musical,
Mhm.
which was a Fathom event,
Yes.
is 95th for the year, and it only played in 780 theaters for 2 days.
Wow.
So,
And it topped.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. So somebody really jacked the boat on that one.
yeah.
So, what is another gem on our year to date?
Oh, let's see here now.
You know, our next pearl of wisdom.
Let's find one that we've heard of.
Yes. Because there are movies, unfortunately, they don't get the advertising budget that they need, or they don't get the publicity that they need, and they unfortunately fade into obscurity. Into the
Indeed
did they
so.
real into the did they really come out at that time? I had never heard of it. The how could I have not? How could I have met this screen gem?
Well, there was Swept Away, but that was a re-release.
Hmm.
So, it's not surprising that didn't do so well.
Yes.
Trying to find one that I'm going, ooh, I heard of that one.
Yeah, and what's the interesting part is that usually if it's a movie of that sort of caliber, you're going, wow, okay, it's like this is one of those missed opportunities. So in this case, so one of these screen
You've got,
gems are really a missed opportunity.
yes, because all of these movies I have never heard of. I'm up to 271, and I still have not heard of any of these movies. Ah, here's one I've heard of, Seven Witches.
Okay, now let's talk about when that one got released in terms of timing.
It was released on April 21st.
Okay, and who starred in that movie?
Fair question. And it seems to me it did have a, seems to me we discussed this when it came out that we were saying, oh, that's
Yes,
not a bad cast.
on that would be on a different program.
Yes, on a different program.
Mm.
Uh, well, maybe we weren't talking about it having a good cast. Uh, yeah, because I remember that the host of another program butchered the name Persephone Apostolou.
Yes,
He was saying her name was like Persephone Apostolou.
yes,
Yeah. But it had her, Danica Golombek, Megan Hensley. Not a real powerful
well-known
box office
cast.
draw. Yeah.
Yes, and you know what? It's like, and this is not a diss to any actors who are up and coming or getting well known, but it's like sometimes when you're having a movie that is a heavily relied upon popularity film, you need to have a cast with you that actually is a known name, has a box office draw.
Yeah.
Was the director at least known for this one?
Uh, do you know Brady Hall?
I'm not familiar.
No. Let's see what else he's directed. Maybe he's directed something that we go, oh, that. Uh, well, let's see. Did you ever see Tits and Blood?
No,
Jerk Beast?
no, again.
Oh,
I have
hello.
to.
No, I'm not going to say. I'll be a little more formal with it. Hello, my name is Richard Licker.
Oh, okay. Well, then
And of course,
no.
who can forget Poltergeist?
Apparently, everybody who never saw it.
Yes. Which is
Okay.
a shame because I remember seeing the trailer for Seven Witches and saying that actually looks like a pretty good story.
Mm-hmm. Well, which comes down to, no pun intended when I said which, comes down to the fact that it's like unknown cast or relatively unknown cast, unknown name director, which is not such a bad thing. That can actually work in a lot of people's favor in
Yeah,
that sense. But no advertising for this movie. Once again, victim of that. And storyline attraction is not really there. It's
true.
it's like if you had to break it down, it's the why did this movie get made? It's part of those, and they invested in this. Maybe on paper it sounded really, really good, but when it actually manifested itself to screen, it didn't quite get as successful. And sometimes that is a victim of some films. It's like it sounds really great on paper. Let's green light this.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's like it becomes one of those when you see it actually released going, we greenlit the schlock.
Aye, that they did.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they have to stand behind it because, again, there's been a lot of dollars that have been put into it. How much promotion did that actually get? Do you remember any promotion for it whatsoever?
I I remember seeing the trailer for it, but only because the host of the other show said, check out this trailer.
Okay. So
So,
really, there wasn't much advertising for it.
right.
Okay. Well, which then might go for another reason, as we said, without a healthy P&A budget or a marketing budget, unfortunately, not good.
Yes. But we move up a
Yes.
couple of spots. The movie in 261st place for 2017 so far.
Mm-hmm.
From IFC Films, we have Alone in Berlin,
Mm,
which opened on January 13th
okay.
and closed on February 12th.
Okay. It,
So it was out for about a month.
which is not a bad run for a film. Now, who's
It made $33,125.
and what was its budget?
Its budget, I don't see a budget on here, and unless maybe I can find it here. Alone in Berlin, $33,125. Budget, 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 budget. Production budget is not available.
Interesting.
Usually that means they don't want us to know how much money they spent on this movie that made almost none. And I'll
Uh-huh.
tell you what, they spent some money on this movie. Emma
Yes.
Thompson, Daniel Bruhl,
Wow.
Brendan Gleeson,
Mm-hmm.
and an interesting story about a Nazi German working class couple They lose their son in World War II, and they decide to retaliate by secretly leafletting handwritten cards in Berlin denouncing the government.
Interesting.
So here we have a movie that has drama, that has suspense.
Has an interesting cast.
Yes, that rings with some truth to it,
Yes.
and it does nothing.
Yes. And what I'm thinking is probably the reason it did this whole bunch of nothing is because, really, as much as there was that interesting cast, there wasn't really a plotting that was given for it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew what it was about. I don't remember.
Any trailers for it?
No,
Okay, so
I do remember a friend of mine loaning me his copy of it when it came out
uh-huh.
and starting to watch it and saying, my God, this movie's boring.
Okay. So again, suffering from the neck syndrome, which is called um somebody needed to have a better editor.
Yeah, I think they could have picked up the pace just a little bit.
And that's again, the not controlling the director of that film to not go with artistic vision, but to go with something that would be commercially appetizing. And you know what? Again, I'm going to reiterate this to the audience right away that it's like what we are saying here is, again, just opinion. It is not factual in regards to this. So we don't want angry letters. We love our fans and love their choices. And if you can defend these choices, go for it. Please do defend those choices to us
Yes.
of how these jeweled masterpieces could have possibly missed our eye and missed the
Yes.
box office.
I don't know, for example, I don't know how I missed a movie with a title like My Entire High School Sinking into the Sea.
I don't know.
Because that is the kind of movie that I would go on IMDb and say, what the heck is this about?
Exactly.
Which is exactly what I'm doing right now because I'm hearing of this movie for the first time and saying, my God, this sounds like the sort of bizarre.
This Master Pesa that you absolutely missed.
Yes. An earthquake causes a high school to float into the sea where it slowly sinks like a shipwreck. We've
Okay.
got
So we've got drama.
it's an animated film,
Okay.
but it's not like cartoony animation. It's very artistic animation.
Yes.
Voice cast here we've got Jason Schwartzman, Lena Dunham, Maya
Uh-huh.
Rudolph, Susan Sarandon.
Wow.
You know, I look at this, I go, my God, how did I miss this?
It's like such a jewel. It it must have slipped by that radar of yours.
Yeah, because I live to find movies like this.
Yes, especially strange, obscure movies like that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that screen gem, like I said, was just too much.
Well, of course, it doesn't help that it only played in 25 theaters.
Yes.
Came out on April 14th and was out for over a month. Gee.
Yep. So, what other screen gems have you've encountered on there?
Looking for. Is this the movie I think it is? Or I just thinking of something else. Yeah, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind.
So, what is our next screen gem that we would say was those must-miss treasures?
Well, we're going to move into the top 200 here.
Alrighty. And by the way, for those who would like to know these lists, please do feel free to look up Box Office Mojo and other sites.
Yes. And my goodness. Nothing that jumps out at me is something that I'm like, well, how did I miss this? You know?
Mm-hmm. So nothing that sits there and screams, how did I not notice this?
Exactly. Well, there was George Takei's Allegiance, which
Okay.
was a documentary about. But it only ran. Now, here's something interesting. You know when it opened?
When?
February 19th. You know when it closed?
When?
February 19th. You know how much money it made?
$33?
$784,850.
Interesting.
Yes. Do we have a budget on this movie? No, production budget is not available. But still, that's a 1 day gross.
Mm-hmm. Which proves yes. That was actually then a success, even though they call it, even though it's down on the 200s list. It was successful
Yes.
because of its extremely limited release.
Right. 476 theaters for 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
And it made over $750,000. I mean, that's huge.
Yes, it is. That's something that says that, again, formula worked.
Yeah. As compared to the Red Turtle, that, okay, yeah, it's a few spots up at 125, made $921,974,
Mm-hmm.
but was released on January 20th and ran till June 1st.
Wow.
So that's out for 4.5 months and just
Yep.
barely does better.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show you that you can't always tell things just from the ranking. You got to look at the numbers.
Yes. And in this particular case, yes, the numbers don't are not telling you a story that isn't something that isn't unusual.
Yeah.
In this particular case, also, you have to go, okay, what is it that was the dire crucial here? And the dire crucial was the fact that it's like that was done as a day release. It was very brief. And for it, it made more than another movie that had 3 times the amount of time to make its box office.
Yeah.
So what it tells me is it tells me that it's like, well, George Takei is very popular. But what it also tells me is that they had a very clever marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So that they
By
could maximize it.
yeah, by putting the movie out for only one day, they made, there had judging by the box office numbers,
Mm-hmm.
there had to have been lines of people
Yeah.
waiting to see this movie.
Yes. And more than likely, what it will do for it is because this film had such a limited release. It's like people will also seek it out on DVD in
Right.
its ancillary markets because they will be like, "Oh my God, what is it that I missed of why it was there for one day in the theater? Was it that good? Was it that bad?" It already drives curiosity.
Yes. Well, one thing you have to say about George Takei, and I know that you are not a Star Trek fan,
Hmm.
but the one thing you have to say like him or don't like him, he's not boring.
No.
He has been such an advocate for gay rights,
Hmm.
and his coming out was a very big thing. I mean,
Yes.
they were trying to keep it hushed up while Star Trek was on the air. In fact, the running gag, the gag that is told about that was that everybody in the cast knew he was gay except for William Shatner.
And I think even William Shatner knew.
I think he knew too, but everybody likes to make fun of, Shatner never really knows what's going on.
Yes. So, whether he knew, didn't know, it's like, yeah, it was a huge deal because also, you just didn't do that in his culture wise at the time as well.
Right.
So it's like, yes, it makes for very controversial for him at that time. So, what other screen gem do we have in there that's a surprising?
Okay, well, now we have one that opened on May 12th and closed just over a month later. This
Mm-hmm.
is we're up to 106
Yes.
on our list.
Yes.
The Wall,
Hmm.
which grossed $1.8 million. And once again, don't ask me. Oh, plus the foreign box office. All in all, it grossed $3.5 million.
Okay.
This was one of the Amazon studio films.
Yes.
Interesting movie, a story of two American soldiers stranded in the desert, and there's just this wall, this from a building that's been blown up or something, because they are pinned down by a sniper.
Yes.
There are only three characters in this entire movie.
Yeah, the man, his friend, and the sniper.
Yeah. So here we have a movie that I have to think didn't cost a whole lot of money to make other than, the ordnance,
Mm-hmm.
and made $3.5 million. And if you think about it, didn't really play that well. Didn't
Yeah.
get really huge reviews or anything.
And the fact that it was brought out during a what would be considered to be um, an ideal springtime.
Yeah,
That's where this
it
movie
was
tends
coming
to
out
have.
just before the big blockbusters
Yes.
were due to hit.
So it's not a victim of timing,
But yeah.
but it may be a victim of story. Storyline sounded, though, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So then is it a matter of acting? That the actors didn't intrigue?
Well, the actors, none of the actors were big names.
Okay.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, I'm
Yes.
not familiar with.
Nope.
John John Cena, Cena.
Okay, John
Now that
Cena.
name sounds
Yes.
familiar. Yes.
Isn't he a pro wrestler?
What else does he do? Yes, he is. He is a pro wrestler. You're right.
Yes. Okay, so I'm starting to see a plot line to this.
Yes. And then you have Laith Knackley,
Okay.
who played the sniper.
Okay. So you have, in terms of that, it's like fairly relatively risky names for the box office draws.
Yeah. If you're only going to have three people in your movie, one should be a box office draw.
Yes, at least one.
Yes.
Because if you want to be able to pull yourself forward to a known name, and I'm not saying that wrestlers don't have a known name,
No,
but yet, yes, they don't have a known name for box office. All of them. It's like until they do. And that's by
exactly.
co-starring roles, like the one who was in Magic Mike
Right. Or
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 The
or
Rock.
Dwayne, yeah, The Rock, who can now use his real name of Dwayne Johnson because now everyone knows who he is.
Exactly.
And plus, I've always given him credit, a lot of credit, for not being afraid to try things that are way out of his comfort zone.
Yes.
Like when he made the movie Tooth Fairy.
Yes. Which was a really adorable movie.
It really was, and had a nice story to it, and made good sense, and had a good moral,
Yeah.
and had Dwayne Johnson in a pink tutu. What more could you want?
Dwayne Johnson not in a pink tutu. Maybe
Oh, you dirty girl, you.
they could have enhanced the tutu.
They could have made it a bit bigger, is what you're trying to say.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, yes, it was an interesting movie, and again, a great box office draw in terms of that. So yeah, it's like it did make it fun for people to watch. So let's
Yeah.
go into our top 100 now.
Going into the top 100, in terms of sequels
Mm-hmm.
that came out this year,
Yes.
there was one that everybody had waited for years and years and years. They'd been saying, yeah, we're going to make a sequel to it someday. Yeah, we're going to make a sequel to it someday. They
Mm-hmm.
finally made a sequel to it.
And the sequel was a bomb.
I think there must have been a lot of disappointed people because the anticipation was so high for T2 Train Spotting.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people were disappointed. $18 million to make, only grossed 41.6.
Wow. I am so sorry, Kevin Smith.
And only grossed
Just kidding.
2.4 in the US.
Wow.
Danny Boyle, you didn't make lightning strike
No.
twice. And we wanted you to. We were all polling for that
We
movie.
were. When I heard there was a Train Spotting too, I was like, oh my god, yay. Which slowly became, oh my god. What were they thinking?
Yeah. It's the kind of thing that made me feel like they just threw it together so people would stop asking for it.
Yeah, it's like you wanted a train spotting movie, here's a train spotting movie.
Yeah. Hope you're happy.
Yeah, would you leave me alone now, kind of thing.
Yes.
Where it's like, you know what? It's again, that's one of those things of also the good casting, poor
Yeah.
timing.
Yes, because it opened on 3/17.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say what it was, but the number one movie of the year so far opened on that same date.
Exactly.
What could the number one movie of the year be? We'll get to it, kids. Don't worry.
Exactly. As we draw
It,
it out suspensefully for all of you.
yeah, because it might not be what you think it is.
No, it's not Wonder Woman.
No.
So sorry for all those people who were guessing Wonder Woman. No.
Yes. But Wonder Woman came close.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. And Wonder Woman hasn't closed yet, so it
Yep.
could still.
Yep. But again, this is where we're getting into that whole talking about movies.
Yes. But it's a shame that Train Spotting was so bad that it couldn't even top Colossal in the ratings.
Wow.
Colossal came in 91st place.
Wow. That's really sad. So,
Um,
yeah, for all of those who were waiting for a train spotting movie, um, no, we should be still waiting.
yeah. Let's wait some more.
Yeah. It's like maybe there'll be a train spotting 3, like they did with Highlander.
That's right. Everybody knows how much the second Highlander movie sucked. And
It's the one, shh, we don't talk about that movie.
yes,
Because that was like beyond suckage.
yes,
That was like, going, shame on you, Highlander people.
yes, it certainly was.
It's like, what were you thinking?
It was so bad, it's a miracle that Highlander 3 was even made.
Yes.
And yet, Highlander 3, a much better movie than Highlander 2.
Well, that's because Highlander 2, it's like it was one of their jump the shark moments.
Yeah.
Those are one of those that you really sit there and go, okay, um, show of hands of who thought this was a really great idea.
Yes. I'm not going to raise my hand. You can't make me.
No. It's like, and that's honestly the feeling, like as though that it was run by consensus.
Yes.
It was like we don't know what to do with this movie, so let's make them into, and I'm not even going to go there because I love the whole Highlander series except for 2.
Yes.
It's the movie.
Which is a shame, really, because 2 is when was the only other one that Sean Connery was in.
Yes.
And the first Highlander movie, Sean Connery is the guy who made the movie work for me.
Yes. I'm going to say that was
But
contractual obligation that had him there.
yeah, yeah, because he couldn't have wanted to say that dialogue.
No. I'm gonna again, plead on Sean Connery's behest of the contractual obligation.
Yes. But anyway, Colossal, for those of you who don't remember this movie, and I mean, that's entirely possible, even though apparently it is still playing somewhere in the world.
Okay.
But Colossal is Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis, and Anne Hathaway plays a girl who comes to realize that she is somehow connected to a giant alien monster that's destroying Seoul, Korea.
Excellent. So basically, Godzilla, if Godzilla didn't exist?
Yeah, it's like, or if Godzilla was controlled by that, that the cute little Japanese boy that was in all of those monster movies.
Okay.
It's like Toho Studios. I always accuse Toho Studios of having some cloning laboratory where they kept cloning these cute little Japanese boys to be in their monster movies.
Yes. So that would probably be where this should have rested, that movie.
Yeah,
In cute little monster movie that really did not need to be.
no, it really was not that good. Looked funny in the previews, just a little bit hard.
Yes. So that movie, needless to say, folks, sorry, but it's not going to hit our top 10.
No. 77th place. And I bring this one up only because it's a movie I wanted to see and didn't get a chance to. Darn it. I have to watch for it to come out on Amazon. Beatrice at Dinner.
Okay.
Nice little film about a Mexican or Hispanic masseuse who comes to a rich woman's home to give her weekly massage and gets stranded there because her boyfriend has to work late. So
Okay.
they're having a fancy dress dinner for some very important people, and the woman of the house says, "Well, you can just stay for dinner." And Beatrice finds herself facing one of the most bigoted people she's ever met, played by John Lithgow.
Okay.
Uh, a great tagline for this movie because it summed it up so well. She was invited, but she wasn't welcome.
Yes.
But looked to me like an outstanding movie, which is one of the reasons why it is at 77th place so far, having opened in the heart of blockbuster season. A
Interesting.
little movie like this, you would think would be down in the upper hundreds,
Yes.
but it is sitting there at 77th place, having so far made $6.8 million.
Yep.
Quite a
Interesting.
quite a respectable amount for a small little independent film.
Very true. Very interesting stuff. So let's
Yes.
jump up in our rows a bit to the top 50.
Alrighty. Oh, you mean
Unless
we
there's a
got to
couple, unless
we
there's a
we got
couple of other
do
screen gems.
we have to skip Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul?
We could skip all the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies.
Well, it outgrossed The Zookeeper's Wife and Chips.
Interesting and
But
sad,
instead,
all at the same time.
well, let's go to number 51
Okay.
because this just opened this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one I know you want to see, Atomic Blonde.
Yes.
Just since its opening on July 28th,
Mm-hmm.
has already grossed 22.6 million
Interesting. That's not
against
horrible.
against a $30 million budget. So they're really right on track
Yes.
for being a successful film.
They are in a lot of ways.
Yes, they're in 51st
51st.
the 51st place.
Yeah, them.
50, yes, they are in 51st place now, but that's because they opened 4 or 5 days ago.
Exactly. And people have yet to, and that wasn't a wide release either.
No, it's not. It's only going into wide release now. Now it's in 3,300. It's on 3,300 screens.
Yes.
But
So that's another thing.
when it first released, I think it was only on about like 1,500. So they've now doubled the number of screens.
Yes. So that will make quite the difference.
Yes.
And that is what's going
Those are
to so this is another thing, is the release plan. This brings up that interesting topic of the release plan. It's like with them, they were very strategic about it because they kept it down very small to see what the audience would react to. Now they are going with a wide release.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this particular case, will that work for them or against them? Remains to be seen.
Yeah. But I know that there are a lot of people who were looking forward to this film.
Yes.
So there's a very good chance that Focus may have another winner on their hands.
Absolutely. And I'm rooting for it, box office wise.
Now, there were two movies that were part of horror movie series.
Yes.
But they were both very popular series.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was Resident Evil, the final chapter. One of them was Underworld, Blood Wars. They came very close to each other in the list. Which one do you think came out on top?
Blood Wars.
You are correct.
Yeah. Who does not like...
Blood Wars came out not by much, 30.3 versus 26.8. But when we look at their budgets, also, I mean, we get to the worldwide gross. I mean, Resident Evil Final Chapter did 10 times.
Yes.
10 times the domestic gross in the foreign box offices.
Yes, because sometimes things play, like Mila Jovovich plays very well to a foreign audience.
Yeah. So they have more than done 7-1 on their $40 million budget.
Yes.
So, huge success. Congratulations, Resident Evil. You wrapped it up good.
Yep. Hopefully
Blood
there won't
Wars,
be an eighth.
Whereas Underworld Blood Wars did not fare as well in the foreign box offices. Its worldwide total is only 81,093,000.
Yes.
So you look at that, and actually, Resident Evil wins. Whoa! Don't get me wrong, I love both series.
Yes.
But it was the final chapter for Resident Evil, so I'm glad it had such a huge success.
Well, allegedly, the final chapter.
Allegedly, the final chapter. Well, I'll tell you, it's the final chapter with Mila Jovovich. I know that.
Yes.
She said she's not doing any more.
Yes.
Well, if they do anything, they're going to have to reboot it.
Well, and that's always possible.
Yes, unfortunately. But, and maybe this is just because I've been watching those movies since they started.
Mm-hmm.
I can't picture Resident Evil without
Mila,
her in
no.
it.
It's like she has captured the character.
Yes,
It would be like Underworld without Kate Beckinsale.
yes, which they did once and said, okay,
We learned
I
our
mean, it was
lesson.
necessary. Yes, it was necessary. It was a flashback movie, it was an origin movie.
Yes.
So, yes, it was necessary, but
Hey, they even placed her in the
boy,
end.
they needed her back. Yes, they definitely needed her back.
Yeah, and guess what? They placed her right at the end of the movie so that we got the full circle.
Yeah, yes,
So they were even smart enough to realize, no, we can't do this.
yeah.
What the hell were we thinking? That we could actually create this kind of movie without her being there. And but that being said, it's like that really was a really good one. Sorry, but it's like to those who it's like I actually enjoyed it. That origin story.
Oh well, I enjoyed it too, but it there's you can't deny it's the weakest of the series.
Yes, but it's not the Highlander 2.
No, it's not the Highlander 2, but it's also not How to Be a Latin Lover.
No.
This is a movie that when it came out, everybody that was discussing it on that other unnamed
Show.
show was saying, "Ah, this movie is going to be a flop. This movie, who's going to go see this movie?" Well, it beat Resident Evil. It beat Underworld. It beat the Big Sick. The Big Sick, although the Big Sick is still playing.
Yes, it hasn't fully gone. Again, that's another one that's gone limited release.
Yeah. But right now, How to Be a Latin Lover, 42nd place.
Nice. And I still said I won't see it. And I will
Just
still be
above
quoted
it,
on that.
just above it, in 40th place,
Hmm.
the most expensive independent movie ever made, and probably the hugest flop.
Hmm. Well, folks, which one do you think that it is? Go
You should know.
ahead.
You should know, folks. Think of a movie you didn't go to see.
Yeah.
Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Okay.
Now, this breaks my heart personally.
Now, this is also something that needs to be discussed. Um,
Yes.
this is where you have bad marketing plan plus bad timing.
Yeah, we actually
Plus, I know,
discussed this a
yes,
couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
yes. It's like that one was one of the ones we talked about. Bad timing, bad unknown cast, and bad advertising. If you don't tell people what it is, how are they supposed to understand? It's
Yeah.
like, yes, one would think that the audience would be educated enough to go ahead and actually, seek it out. But at the same time, a lot of audiences are just more along the lines of, okay, if I don't know what it is, I don't even want to seek it out. Give me at least some taste of it, of what this is about.
Yeah.
So the fact that they disrespected the audience by not giving them any information on this movie did not bode well for them.
No, it did not help them in the slightest. And despite all their claims of, well, when you take in all the tax credits and all the equity debt and all this and all that, this movie actually only cost us $20 million. we're only 20 million in the hole.
Uh-huh.
Well, only there's
Yeah,
movies that get made for less than $20 million.
exactly. We know of several.
Then movies that are doing better than yours.
Yeah.
I have to say. So
Yep.
quite a shame.
Yeah.
Valerian, Loreline, I love you, but oh my God, just what a terrible, what just a disaster, an absolute disaster. And I'm not talking about the movie, folks. The movie is good, but I
But
don't
you,
blame people for not going to see it
yeah, when you
because the
advertise so
advertising
poorly,
campaign was horrid.
yes. It's like, again, you have to be able to tell your audience, what is this movie about?
Yeah,
If I can't sum it up to you in 3 sentences or less, it's not a good movie of effective campaign.
yeah. And it's, I mean, Luc Besson,
Yes.
who is probably best remembered for The Fifth Element, although he
Yes.
also made a very, very good science fiction film called Lucy. I
Yes.
mean, he pulled out all the stops on the special effects in this one, and it's
Yes.
absolutely brilliant to watch. And there is a story, and the story is good, but once again, as we've been saying, you wouldn't know that from the previews.
You wouldn't know it from the advertising.
Yeah. And if I had to sum the story up in 3 sentences, I couldn't do it
Yeah.
because it's such a complicated story.
And thus lies the problem of making a movie that it's like you cannot sum it up.
Yes. It's like the first Mission Impossible movie when it came out. Everybody said, "Oh, it was terrible. You couldn't even tell what was going on. It was so confusing." And my answer to that always has been, well, yeah, it would be really confusing if you weren't paying very close attention.
Yeah.
There are some movies that you cannot watch casually.
And that's one
Mission
of them.
Impossible was one of them. Valerian is another one. You cannot
Yes.
watch it casually. You really have to pay attention to what's going on because everything
Hmm.
is important.
Yeah. And it's a matter
Stuff
of
that
relevance.
happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie becomes hugely important in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Exactly.
So,
And it's something that it's like, shamefully, um, if you can't wrap it up in 3 sentences or less, a lot of people will not have that patience to go through it.
yeah,
And the movie unfortunately suffered for it, box office wise.
yes. And another movie that suffered box office wise, and this is another one that I predicted was going to be a huge flop.
Yep.
King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Hmm. Well, when you make an inaccurate, you see, I wanted to see it until I realized the inaccuracies. And I'm sorry, you can argue Arthur, fictional legend, etc., etc., etc. But when you start, it's like there's also a known story. And it would
Yes,
be like taking a known story and all of a sudden bastardizing that known story.
yeah.
And I'm not saying don't take artistic creative license when doing a film. Absolutely do that. But realize that it's like, if you are going with a work that is that kind of popular work, you're going to get kickback on it.
Something that we have had etched into our brains since childhood.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You don't make a movie with King Arthur fighting a dragon because you know what? It didn't happen.
Yes. And what you're doing to the audience is I realize that you're trying to modernize it, but guess what? This isn't a modernizing movie. This is one of those things. If you do a King Arthur movie, you have to have the respect of the audience who remembers the original Arthur legends.
Yes. But at least it didn't fare as badly as the movie that I thought was going to be a real dog. And it wasn't exactly a successful movie, but I thought The Great Wall was going to really tank. And apparently, enough people saw
I did.
something in it that I didn't see.
Yes, and I can tell you exactly what was enjoyable about that movie. You know,
Okay.
it's like it was a really interesting story that went along with it. If you could follow it long enough. It actually was not a horrendous movie. Was it like, could I sit there and say, "Oh my god, this was it's like cinematography wise, it was a very nice looking film.
Mm-hmm.
If you took it for nothing else but its cinematography, it was a very nice looking film. Was it like, the most brilliant storyline on the face of this earth? No. But was it an interesting storyline? Yeah, actually, it was. If you
Hmm.
followed along with it long enough. And if you got over, it's like, and it's one of those facts of you have to stop thinking about it being Matt Damon in the movie and think of it more along the lines of the story itself. But so many people were like, "Oh my god, well, what's Matt Damon doing in this movie?"
Well, that part of it actually didn't bother me because I understood that he was, someone from another country who was trying to sneak into China to steal the secret of gunpowder.
Yes, and I'm
That
not.
part I got. I just
Yes,
all of a sudden he becomes the great hope of China because he slew a serpent.
yeah,
What?
okay, but again, you have to. It's like you got to look at it from Eastern mythology. You're looking at it from
Uh-huh.
a Westerner's eye.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So, looking at it from an Eastern mythology, it's kind of like the person who proves themselves by slaying the dragon, or in the way, not comparing this, so it's like audience don't jump on me. It's like the way that when Harry Potter speaks Parseltongue,
Yeah,
and suddenly they realize he's special, like not just your average special, but
yeah,
beyond
but
your average special.
yeah, you're you're scary special because
Yeah,
you're not supposed to be able to speak parcel tongue.
exactly. So using that method, using that thinking, if you're looking at Eastern philosophy wise, it's kind of like, okay, his slewing the dragon, it's him slewing these serpent-like creatures to them in that same cultural manner.
Yeah,
It's like the earning of respect. So if you're looking at it from an Easterner point of view, you can understand it.
yeah,
And so then it does change the whole context of the movie for you in a lot of ways, because what you were looking at it is you're looking at it from a Westerner's eye.
yes. And where it once again, this is a movie that where it failed really in the United States, grossing only 45.1 million. It made up for somewhat in the foreign markets with 286.8.
Yes.
But because the budget was so huge, it's still not a success. It's still a failure.
Hmm. And that's where It's the perhaps the movie would have warranted a smaller budget.
Yes.
So that's something else that that you have to think about that.
I often wonder in some of these movies how much filming it in 3D adds to the budget.
Oh, quite a bit.
Yeah,
IMAX is
because
still a very expensive format.
yeah. So that could be part of the problem too, because the Great Wall was filmed in 3D. Uh, that adds a lot to your price tag. Whereas if they had just chosen to stick to a 2D format, they might have had a bit more of a success on their hands.
Yes. So that's something that,
Okay, yeah. And if it's any consolation, the Great Wall was edged out by Snatched,
mhm,
a movie that came out at the wrong time, even though it had two good stars in it, had a pretty decent campaign.
yep,
Now we're in the top 30 here, so now we're going to start moving up the
yep,
list. We'll do all the movies, but we're not going to dwell on them.
no,
Coming in at 29th, like I said, was Snatched. 28th place, The Shack,
mhm,
which was the kind of pseudo religious film. I say
yes,
pseudo religious, but I'm not to offend anybody out
mhm.
there, but that's what it was. And unfortunately, bizarrely, it was beaten by Baywatch.
Wow,
Just goes to show you what Dwayne Johnson can do for
a movie.
your box office.
Yes. And again, with Baywatch, it was one of those things of there is a movie that, though Dwayne Johnson is extremely interesting in the whole thing with and Zac Efron and all of that, there was a movie that really we did not need a big screen version of it.
No,
The 80s TV series really sufficed for its core values.
yeah, really did. Coming in at 26, A Dog's Purpose.
Yes. Now, that movie came with controversy.
Yes, it did, because it had a dog being reincarnated.
Well, and also the fact that it's like rumors of how the animals were treated, like how one of the animals were treated on the set.
Ah, well,
And
yeah, okay. That I had not heard, but I do know that there was a lot of
yeah,
controversy. Uh, there are a lot of religions that teach. Uh,
yeah. I was not, it's like, you know what? It's like, I don't know what happened there, true or not true. I don't really, it's like, to me, it's just the story did not appeal.
yeah, but it did. Apparently, it appealed to dog lovers because
Yes.
it
And I
has
am
come
a dog
in.
lover.
Yes, it has come in so far at 26. There are movies that are underneath it that
Yep.
are still out playing out there. So,
Yep.
but I don't think it's going to be overtaken by Valerian anytime soon.
No.
Seeing as how it made twice as much money as Valerian has so far.
Yes. So
Oh
now
god.
we're hitting into the top 20s.
Well, yes, we're at number 25, a movie that opened just 2 weeks ago and stunned, stunned the box office.
Yep.
Girls Trip.
Yes.
Nobody thought that this movie was going to be a huge success.
Mm-hmm. But then you look at the cast that is involved in this movie. How can it not be? Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett
Yeah,
Smith. It's like it's got it's got a star-studded cast of people whose names who you know.
yeah.
Common. It's like it. I don't think that it had again one of those formulas of also no, it was not being posed against a big blockbuster movie. It
Well,
was positioned.
it was up against Valerian and beat
Yeah,
it hands down.
yeah. And again, we've talked about that because it's like movie with popular people, popular name. It's like obviously it will draw more attention to
Yeah.
itself. So yes, it's like so then that one came in at 25. So what was 24?
The movie that we still feel was ripped off from a friend of ours, Captain
Yes.
Underpants.
Yes. And indeed, it's like dude, it's like you so missed an opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's been a really popular movie with the kids.
Yes.
Coming in at 23, Alien Covenant. Not
Hmm.
doing quite as well as they had hoped it was going to do. Everybody felt so cheated by Prometheus that I think they're kind of shying away. Although
Yeah.
Alien Covenant does take us pretty much right up to the beginning of the first Alien movie.
Yes. And personally, you know what? It's like I'm looking forward to seeing it eventually on DVD.
Yeah, same here. That one was edged out at number 22 by The Mummy.
Oh God. Okay, now what can I say about this movie other than the fact that it's like okay, they had a perfectly fine version with Rachel Weisz in there way back in the day, and Brendan Fraser. It's like why on earth was there a need to redo this movie?
Well, there wasn't, except that Universal, this was the beginning of, this was the first movie in what they were calling, the Dark Universe, which is Universal was going to start re releasing all their classic monster movies in updated formats, which is all well and good. The mistake they made was giving Tom Cruise too much creative control. Because
Yeah.
I have read stories about him on the set of this movie, and oh, well, big surprise, he was out of control.
No way.
Raise your hands if you're surprised. I'm not seeing any
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah. Color me shocked.
Yes, but Tom Cruise still carries the
He does.
box office
Yes, he
in the
does.
foreign market.
And he
So,
still does even domestically.
yeah, 79.7 domestically, 317.9
Yep.
in the
Internationally.
foreign markets. So, it's already made almost $400 million.
Hmm. Not as good as the
So,
first one. Not as good as the original.
oh, well, now if we want to get to the original, are we talking?
Rachel Weisz
Uh,
version.
oh, okay, because the original, is Boris Karloff.
Yes. Well, and that was like absolutely, yeah, yeah, you don't compare.
Yeah. Uh, Beating the Mummy by a decisive almost $6 million. The
Hmm.
Power Rangers.
Wow. And okay, for those of you who doubted about Power Rangers movies, okay, understand I walked into this movie when we were watching the Power Rangers going, "Oh God, please don't let it be like the horrible Power Rangers movie of the past that I remembered." And guess what? It did not disappoint. It actually was pretty good. I will go on the it did not suck
Yes,
as my
but
critique.
yes, but it has not performed as well as expected either, because this was going to be they were looking at making at least 5 of these movies.
They're going to make
And
another
now
one.
they're going to make another one, but there is some doubt if it will go beyond that, if it performs as poorly as this one did.
Well, it depends on it's like what they're going to do for the rebooting of it.
Yeah,
It will depend very much on director. It will depend a lot on, you know, a lot of points in the casting that a lot of people don't consider.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I will say about that. Is that do I want to see a second movie? Okay, it gave me faith that this didn't completely suck, as I said.
Yeah.
Take that for what it is.
And if you look at it genre wise, and I don't think this is just for this year, but I think I suspect this is for all time here.
Yes.
Superhero, it ranks 64th,
Mm-hmm.
respectable. Superhero Origin, it ranks 32nd.
Nice.
And for live action TV adaptation,
Mm-hmm.
27th.
Not bad.
Yeah.
So, couldn't really go with that.
Yes.
So now, who went on next in our progressive?
We've reached the big number 20, and
Ooh.
it's John Wick Chapter 2.
Oh God.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a movie I did not. It's like I regretted seeing John Wick Part One.
Yes. I actually saw recently, I subscribe to Screen Junkies, and they do this series called Totally Honest Trailers or something like that.
Uh
And
huh.
they were doing the original Point Blank. Great movie,
Yes.
by the way, lots of fun.
Yes.
But they showed a scene in the movie where Keanu Reeves kicks a dog.
Wow.
And the narrator makes the point, Keanu, someday you're going to learn it's not nice to do that. It's like, and since, that's, the whole thing that set him off in the first
Yeah.
movie is somebody killed his dog. It's like, oh, that is pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, like I said, and then it's a movie, and then he speaks.
Yeah. And you suddenly lose all believability.
Yes.
All right, coming in at number 19, still playing. This is one of the big surprise hits of the summer, Baby Driver.
Interesting. Baby Driver, you say?
Yes. 93.3 million domestically, 46.8 in the foreign markets. It's certainly outmatched its $34 million budget. It's, you can definitely consider this movie a gold class success. It's almost a 5-1, and it's still going strong.
Cool. And definitely an unexpected hit.
Yes.
Who'd have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it indeed? And coming in at number 19, and also still going strong, the other movie that killed Valerian at the box office, Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk.
Yes. Now there's a movie I'm not even sure of what it's about, so
It's about one of the bigger failures of the Allies in World War II.
okay.
A pretty messed up naval battle, and a lot of soldiers were stranded in Dunkirk.
Mm-hmm.
which is in the south of England,
Yes.
hoping to God that they were going to get rescued. Or no, it's yeah, they're completely surrounded. I think it's actually Belgium now. Okay,
Yeah.
but they're or no, okay, Dunkirk, France. They were completely surrounded by the German army, both on land and
Uh-huh.
on sea, and were stuck there for a week and a half. And there
Okay.
was no way to get food to them or help or anything. And I mean, it's a powerful true story. And
Interesting.
yeah, it is one that I do recommend.
Yes.
I don't recommend or wouldn't have recommended and cannot fathom was 50 Shades Darker,
Okay.
which currently is at number 17, but not for long.
Yeah. It's like honestly, it's like I'm probably one of the few people in this world who has not seen 50 Shades of Grey. And
Well,
probably one
that
of
makes
the
we should start a club because I haven't seen it either.
okay. And a good source of mine said to me when I had made mention of it, don't bother. And I'll tend to believe
Mm-hmm.
that source because they have not steered me wrong.
Yes.
And when that particular source says, don't bother, I'm gonna tend to listen to it
Yeah.
because they are a very reliable source in terms of that. So, yes, then that brings us up to number 18?
16.
16.
Number 16, movie that just opened a couple of weeks ago, going great guns. This is going to be one of those movies fighting out the top 10 spots. War for the Planet of the Apes.
Interesting.
The climax to the Apes trilogy.
Uh huh.
And another outstanding performance by Andy Serkis as a computer generated character.
Yes.
What can I say? This man has just about made a living doing this, okay? But he's
Yeah.
so good at it.
Yeah.
He really is. I mean, as Gollum, he just blew my mind.
Okay.
And as Caesar, once again, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
you know,
So,
because he insists on doing the motion capture thing and actually becoming the character,
yeah.
it makes such a difference because there's such range of emotion in his facial expressions.
Yes.
Uh, he's an underrated actor, and I'm hoping he's going to get to start doing some movies where we actually get to see his face from time to time. I did see him in a little known horror movie called The Cottage. It was a horror
Hmm.
comedy, and he was absolutely hysterical in it. He's just got this marvelous sense of comedy timing.
Yes. Well, we did see him in Across the Universe,
Yes, yes, that's true.
and I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah. And I quite enjoyed The Cottage too. In fact, it's one I
Hmm.
recommend to people, even if you don't like horror films. This movie has such ridiculously funny moments in it that you'll get through the guy ripping someone's spine out of their back, you know.
Yeah.
Not spoiler alert. Gee.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 15,
Yes.
but starting to drop. Transformers: The Last Night. If only we could believe it's going to be the last movie.
Exactly. Unfortunately, it's like they're going to keep regurgitating it over and over and over again.
Man, go back to the original 70s cartoons and take a good, hard look.
Yes.
Because Michael Bay, I'm sorry, you're doing it wrong.
Thank you. Robots in disguise. Where is the freaking robots? Oh, I know. In a different movie from the
Yeah,
1970s.
yeah.
Because they certainly are not there.
All right.
Yeah.
We're getting into the nitty gritty now.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in at 14, one of M. Night Shyamalan's more successful movies of recent years, Split,
Yes.
a movie which only worked because of James McAvoy.
Yes. But it was actually a very interesting movie. It really
Yeah,
was.
I mean, I'm not knocking the story. The story was really good, but for me, it wouldn't have worked
Without him.
without James McAvoy doing the part.
Yes.
It's done well, 138 million domestic, 138 million foreign,
Mm-hmm.
and cost 9 million to make.
Honestly, this was another one of those movies where if M. Night Shyamalan got out of his own ego and out of his own way, like he did in this movie,
Yes,
you get a really brilliant film coming out of this man.
yes, he can make good movies
Yes.
if he just would take a step back, like he did for The Sixth Sense, like he did for
Yes.
Unbreakable, like he did for Split.
Exactly. The problems happen when M. Night Shyamalan gets into Shyamalan mode, is what I like to call it.
Yeah, that's when you get movies like The Village and The Happening
Yeah.
and
The
what was
Visit.
The Visit. Yes,
Yes. That's when you're like going.
and Circles. Oh my God, Circles. If it weren't for Joaquin Phoenix, I never could have gotten through that movie.
Yeah. Or Signs.
Or Signs, that was it. Yeah, Signs, that was the name of it, with the
Yes.
crop circles. Yeah, I never would have gotten through that movie if it hadn't been for Joaquin Phoenix. Thank you, Joaquin, wherever you are.
Yes. You made it actually tolerable.
Well, he was the only character I believed in that movie.
Yes.
Alrighty, well, coming in at number 13,
Mm-hmm.
this movie had a huge, huge opening weekend. $53.6 million the opening weekend,
Wow.
and has plummeted like a stone. It opened on June 16th. It's still
Uh-huh.
playing in some theaters out there, but
Yes.
53.6 opening weekend, currently standing at 146.7.
Wow.
That's a plummet.
Yes. And what?
Cars 3.
Wow. Yeah, it's like I guess that people are starting to sit there and go cars.
Yeah,
No.
we've done it. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like watching Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. I'm like thinking, where's the movie? Where's the musical Dogs?
Yeah.
It's like no offense to those who like that musical, but I'm sorry, Cats in a Garbage Can for 2 hours.
Well,
It's the same sort of thing here. as this movie. Okay, Cars, we get it.
Yeah. And we've had it.
Yes. Great original concept when it came out. Oh my gosh. Funny movie is all heck. By the time that you get down to this third movie, however,
You're kind of at the uh, been there, seen that stage.
yes.
I'm sure Olaf would disagree with us if he was here because he loved that movie.
Yes.
I remember him going on and on about how much fun it was.
And you know what? It is fun, but it's just repetitive fun.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. What I'm saying is that, you know, can stand at this point no repetitions.
right.
When there's a lot of original material that can come out.
Yes. Like, for example, Kong Skull Island. Wait, that's original material? Well, it was
No.
the way they did it. I, I
There you go.
really I really like the way they did this movie. Um, I mean, it still technically flopped, $185 million budget against
Yes.
worldwide gross of 566.1.
Yes.
And once again, let's blame 3D.
Yeah. Because a lot of people look, 3D is great, but not every movie warrants being in 3D.
Yeah. But what this movie had that other Kong remakes have not had
Mm-hmm.
is a really good cast. Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, John Goodman,
Mm-hmm.
and oh my God, John C. Reilly,
Yes.
my favorite second banana actor. I love him in everything he does. He just amazes me.
Yeah. So you enjoyed it.
Yes, I enjoyed it very much, much more than either of the King Kong remakes that came out in the past 40 years.
Yeah, I can't say that I've seen many of them.
Yeah.
Again, I must reiterate that whole same thing of I simply lost patience with them.
Yeah. Oh, coming in at number 11. Once
Uh-huh.
again, you want to talk plummet?
Yes.
Disney seems to be developing a habit of it. Opening at $62.9 million
Mm-hmm.
on May 26th,
Yes.
currently at $171 million. You know, after over 2 months, that's not a lot, gang.
Yep.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. And I will tell no tale, and I don't even particularly want to spend a whole lot of time on it,
No.
other than to say Disney should be saying, thank God for foreign markets that love Johnny Depp.
Yes, because they're about the only ones who do.
Yes. And they've brought the total up to 776 million.
Yes.
We are now to the highly vaunted top
Top
10.
10. Woohoo!
And coming in at number 10, and this is a surprise for me. I didn't think this movie was going to do this well. The Boss Baby.
Hmm. Boss Baby.
Yes.
Interesting. But mind you, it's like I could kind of see it. It's kind of like the expanded version to me of Babyface Finster
Yeah, sort of.
in that same
But
Warner Brother vein.
yeah. And Alec Baldwin is very big right now, and you also have Steve Buscemi and Lisa Kudrow doing voices as well.
Yeah.
And yet there was nothing about this movie that attracted me to it. But worldwide, 496 and a half. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Uh, we have a mutual friend who will be very excited to hear that at number 9 is Get Out.
Interesting. Yeah.
It is the only horror movie to make it into the top 10.
Wow.
And for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's the story of a black man who is involved with a white woman, and she takes him home to meet her well-to-do parents in their beautifully manicured all-white subdivision
Uh-huh.
where all the black people are servants. And some of them look vaguely familiar. And he eventually finds out that there's much more going on than meets the eye.
Yes.
And I'm not going to give it away because I will say that I did truly enjoy this movie. I mean, I went to it kind of thinking, like, I'm not going to like this. I know how it's going to work out. But I didn't.
Yeah.
I was surprised at the end. So I do recommend it. Uh, and wow, here's a familiar sounding production budget:
Mm-hmm.
4.5 million.
I don't know where I've heard that one before.
It it just, I don't know. It's like deja vu, you know.
I know. It's
Just
like
ringing a
deja
bell.
vu.
Worldwide, 252.4 million.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's the kind of success that small independent films dream of. This one hit it.
Yes.
It hit all the right markers, and I will have to say it deserves all the success that it's gotten.
Cool.
Coming in at number 8.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, who didn't want to see this one succeed? The Lego Batman movie.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Great fun. Although for me, it was a little too busy.
To me, it was one of those things of that's what Batman v Superman should have been.
You know what? I'm going to give you that one. Yeah. Yes. It was certainly a far more a far better movie.
Yes. It was. It was like, oh my God.
And you know, it was a lot of fun, but it was also very very busy, and I don't know it. I enjoyed the fact that they gave Batman and the Joker were almost like gay lovers in this movie.
Yeah.
That the reason why they're always fighting with each other is because they're really secretly in love,
Yeah.
or at least the Joker is in love with Batman.
Yes. And it's like,
Uh, and it actually, when you stop and think about it, if you look back at the series, the whole Batman series, it kind of sort of makes sense.
yes, it really does.
Yeah. So, nice job. Next, we come on the fate of the Furious.
Yes.
Yes. What can I tell you? I like these movies. They're extremely popular. The budget was $250 million.
Hmm.
Domestically, it made 225.7. Care to take a guess what it did in the foreign market?
500 million?
1 billion with a B.
Sweet.
Yes. This movie was incredibly popular overseas. Almost 5 times more popular than here.
Yes.
So yes, they are well on their way to recovering their $250 million
Yes.
budget. They can be pleased. Once again, thank God for the foreign markets.
Mm-hmm.
They have saved a lot of movies this year.
Yes, they very much have.
Coming in at number 6 is Hugh Jackman's swan song as Wolverine. Logan
Okay.
movie came out the first time got an X-Men themed movie right.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. As a not Marvel person, I'm sure that it did.
Yes, it really did. Even if you're not a Marvel person, you would enjoy Logan because it's so much more about the character, and it's rated R for some pretty graphic violence.
Uh-huh.
But we're talking about a guy who has razor sharp knives that come out of his knuckles. The fact that none of his movies prior to this have been rated R just goes to show how squeamish they were about letting Wolverine do what
Yes.
he does.
Yes. And what I will say about that is that I very much enjoy Hugh Jackman, at least in that role, even though he's supposed to be a 5'2" Canadian guy.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
he's a very good looking 6 foot something Australian guy.
Yes. And yes, I know he is way too tall for those of you. I'm sure a lot of you out there are familiar with Wolverine from the comics, and he's not a tall man.
No. And he's not Australian.
Oh, and Olaf is home.
Fantastic. Would we like to
So
it's like, oh my goodness.
yes, let's invite him in and ask him how the show was, and then we can get into
Our top
where we
5.
at. Were we at number 6? Yes, we were. So we'll be able to get into the top 5.
Yes. Let us join him in on our top 5. And welcome our birthday boy to the show, where he will get his and it's like, ask me it also, does he look familiar?
I don't think he's joined us yet.
Nope.
What is he on his high horse? Because
No, it
he
is
went
his
to dinner in
birthday.
a show.
It is his birthday.
Maybe he's like I got to when the last 10 years I was working. I always on January 1st when you could start putting in for days off for that year, I would
Yes.
immediately put in for my birthday. I reached the
Exactly.
point when I turned 50. I said I no longer work on my birthday.
Yep. Well, there
So
you
maybe
go.
so maybe he's doing the same thing, but we'll give him a minute because he may be trying to get himself settled and
Yep.
may have had to take a Sid Haig. So
Yep.
I'm being very informal tonight. I'm not even
Yes.
using the coffee mug, but I'm trying not to drink a whole lot of this because of what happened last Friday.
Yes. So
I got just a wee bit out of control.
so let's go then into our top 5.
We can do that. If you let me put this down and
Yep.
click the magic screen back up. Because I know the suspense has to be killing you. The number 5 movie is the only other animated film to make it into the top 10.
Yes.
Despicable Me 3.
Very cool. I do plan on seeing that.
Well, how can you not see it? I mean, regardless, it's gotten terrible reviews.
Yes.
They hate the plot with Brew meeting his brother, but I don't care how bad the rest of the movie is. You don't really watch Despicable Me movies for that anymore. You watch them for the Minions.
Exactly.
That's why the Minion movie was such a huge success.
Yes, it's like you have to remember it's Minions.
Yes, everybody loves the Minions. And for good
Exactly.
reason.
Banana.
230, 232.9 domestically, foreign 592.4. So we're looking at 825 million against an $80 million budget. 10 to 1. We got a winner again.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it came in at number 5.
That's right.
So what
And
did
at
number 4 come in at?
number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming,
Ooh.
which has been out for about a month now. This is another one that plummeted. Opening
Yep.
weekend was 117 million, and
Now,
in the almost a month since then, it's only done another 165 million.
yep. Well, I'm not going to spoiler it for you, but um, you know, I'm really not going to spoiler it for you.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, and this is another discussion that we've had. We are both agreed that it's going to be very hard to make a Spider-Man movie that's going to be better than Spider-Man 2
Yes.
with Tobey Maguire and
And again,
Dr. Octopus.
and though you and I will disagree on this, it was a necessary reboot of the series. But they did it, and I'm like, as I said, you and I will disagree on it and agree to disagree on it.
Well, at least you didn't have to watch the whole damn origin story again.
It felt like it. So,
Okay.
and we'll
But
and we'll leave it at that.
yes. But yeah, it has plummeted, which means but then again, so has Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is at number 3 with
Mm-hmm.
387.8 million. It opened with 146 and a half. That was on May 5th.
Interesting.
So we're talking almost 3 months.
Not a bad take.
Not a bad take, but given the huge opening it had, you would think it would be a little bit better.
Yet at the same time, it was the only movie that was better than Dramamine at putting me to sleep.
Well, there you go.
There was
Uh,
something. There was something good about it. It's like, oh my god, it was a great snore fest.
Once again, we will agree to disagree
Yes.
because I rather enjoyed it.
Yep.
But worldwide, $860 million. So it might hit a 5-to-1 ratio on its production budget of 200 million. It might still
Mm-hmm.
make it.
Yep.
Time will tell.
Only time will tell.
Indeed.
So what is
Well,
number
I
2?
don't. Well, I don't think there's any doubt at this point about what the number 2 movie is.
Hmm. Wonder Woman?
Why, by golly, you're right. Wonder
Yes.
Woman.
Now, as we've talked about with both Guardians of the Galaxy, all of these top five, what if they had going for it? Great box office timing, interesting
Yes.
storyline with known actors
Yes.
that are there. And I'm not saying, as I said, unknown actors. Like, for example, Moonlight was a wonderful hit success in terms of movies. It's like
Yeah.
not a huge cast of people of well known people. Again, very successful, really great timing, really beautiful plot.
Yes.
So in this particular case of this year, in terms of that, it's like familiar people in this movie. You clearly knew what the story was when you went in there. There was no unexpected expectations of this.
And the other thing that they had in common too is that, I mean, we were seeing previews for these movies almost a year ago.
Yes.
We knew they were coming with the Batman versus Superman movie, The Dawn of Justice. Woman was in that, and it just made us really start itching for the Wonder Woman movie because she was the best thing about that movie.
Yes. And I'll honestly say it's like I am it's like to me it also triply does it because it's like, hey, female director, it's like who again has finally proven that yes, women can direct. Again, once again, I should say, has proven that females, yeah, we women can direct and we can make it very successful.
Yes. And in the time that it has been out, it has hit that magic 5-1
Yes.
spot. Domestic and foreign being almost equal,
Yes.
has a worldwide box office of $789.6 million.
Exactly.
What could possibly do better than that?
The mind only boggles. So, what is our number one drum roll, please?
Of course, it's Beauty and the Beast.
Ah.
The movie Disney got right this year.
Yes. And it's like, I'm sorry, but you can't really go wrong with a Broadway musical coming to there. And it seems that every version of Beauty and the Beast that's had, it's like has had a very interesting and good box office review and good box office numbers.
Well, the original animated feature,
Was awesome.
Disney hit its peak
Yes.
with that film. After that, their 2D animation films were not so great, and by that time they were starting to get more into doing the 3D Pixar,
Yeah.
the animated films and the computerized animated films, and less on the artwork. And while yes, I know that what's done on a computer is also art,
Mm-hmm.
there's just something that I miss about the extreme talent
The cell.
of of the cell, of the animation cell.
Yeah, the cell by cell animation work.
Yes, there's a reason why those cells are worth so much money,
Yeah.
because everyone is a piece of art.
Yeah, and the painstaking time that it takes.
Yes.
The one I covet the most is absolutely 100% coveting this the most for at least myself would be the original Bugs Bunny one that shows all of the iterations that were done, like by from Tex Avery straight on through to Chuck Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that one,
Well,
and I do not have it.
the one I always wanted was the special one that they put out when Mel Blanc passed away, and it was all the Looney Tunes characters standing to one side, and in the foreground in a spotlight was a microphone with nobody standing at it, and the word speechless.
Yeah.
Truly a great tribute to truly a great artist, voice artist. There will never be another Mel Blanc.
Hmm. And that's why it's like I love it.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
that to me, is classic animation.
yeah, and it's sad that we're we're not going to see it anymore because kids just I don't think kids would watch it anymore. That's what they see on TV, and pretty soon they're going to be disappearing from TV too.
Well, it's something that's done extremely well, and I think that it's timeless. But with Beauty and the Beast, again, it's another timeless classic.
Yeah. First of all, you're dealing with a timeless story,
Yes.
uh, a critically successful original film, a critically successful Broadway musical,
Yes.
and then bringing it to life is, and with the cast, my goodness, Emma Watson, Luke Evans, Emma Thompson, Kevin Kline, Dan Stevens, Ewan McGregor, Stanley Tucci, Ian McKellen. I mean, my
Hmm.
God, the list goes on and on.
Yep. And great, and it was very well done. It was very impressive the way that it was put together.
Mm-hmm. And production,
Cinematography, beautiful.
yes. And the production budget, $160 million.
Yep.
Worldwide gross, 1.2 billion. Once again, with a B.
And well worth it.
Disney's most successful film of the year so far. I'm sure it will be outdone when the Star Wars movie comes out. But
Yes.
the thing about Beauty and the Beast is don't be surprised if you start hearing a lot about it again come next February.
Yep.
Because I think it is in the running for quite a number
At least for best
of
costuming.
I think it's going to be in running for quite a number of Academy Awards. You have to remember
Yep.
the original Beauty and the Beast
Yep.
is the only animated film to ever be nominated for Best Picture.
Yes. And I absolutely, like I said, I happen to really, really love the story. And have ever since a child. It's like it's one of those stories that, like I said, is timeless. And
Indeed, it is. And it's been done many times
yes.
in many different ways. And everybody has their favorite.
Hmm.
Mine happens to be a 1946 version
Yes.
directed by Jean Cocteau.
Hmm.
It's absolutely brilliant. The makeup, the settings,
Yep.
the fantasy film feeling that he imbues into the entire movie. Believe me, if you have not seen La Belle et la Bête, you have
Yeah.
missed out on something absolutely remarkable.
Hmm. It is brilliant. And not something that is easily repeatable.
No.
It's a wonderful take on Beauty and the Beast.
And so there you have it, folks. This year so far in films,
And you know what? I'm looking forward to fall seasons of films.
I am too. There are some films that are coming out that I'm very anxious to see, not least of which, of course, is Star Wars 9,
Yes.
which promises to be absolutely spectacular despite the rather negative interviews Mark Hamill's been giving about it lately.
Yes. Well, you know what? It's one of those things of really you have to wonder where that's coming from.
Yeah, it's like, for crying out loud, Mark, you were in the first movie for 30 seconds and got second billing.
Yeah.
So, it's like I, it's like I said to a friend of mine, boy, talk about having a good agent.
Yep.
No, no, Mark gets second billing or he doesn't do the 30 seconds.
Yeah. It's like I want that kind of billing.
Okay.
I will.
Hello, there is our birthday boy.
And there he is. Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. And we once again do on the air the happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
dear
dear. What's
Olaf.
his name? Oh, yeah, Olaf.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
And a
Oh,
thousand more.
At least.
no, not 1,000 more. No, too many.
Yeah, some people are just too picky on their birthdays.
I guess.
But
It's like that.
yes,
Like, I don't know, 1,000 more. Wow, that'd be like really, really old.
are you
That
ageist?
Well, it's like 1,000 more, and you would be ageless. No, it's been a good day. It's like I just got back from dinner dinner theater just a little bit ago, and it's like they put on Music Man tonight, so it was really good.
So how was it? Was really good.
It was really good. It's like they had a really good they had a really good crew putting it on, and the from the kids up to the adults, it was really good.
Excellent. So it was well worth it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and some it's like a uh, friends of mine went with me,
Excellent.
so it was a good night.
It was. And we look forward to hearing from it. And it's like, so also now while we're here, Arpo, how do they get you in social media?
Well, to be sociable, you can get me on Facebook. So if you want to be a little more business-like, you can get me on LinkedIn. I do have a Twitter, but which is Richard at Past Lives, and I'm not on that nearly enough. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll try to do better. Of course, you can always just Skype me. Hey, I love to chat, love to make new friends, but make sure to tell me you are a fan of Movie Time, because I get way too many proposals from Armenian women.
Yes. And tell them also about the exciting thing that's going to be happening on Friday with Movie Time with you. Remember from that other show, those amazing discoveries?
Yeah, not amazing, real.
There you go. They're real
They're
discoveries.
real discoveries.
So remember those real discoveries? Well, you are about to have real discoveries hit Movie Time.
That's right.
Woo!
And Movie Time will never be the same.
Yeah. So
Which reminds me, I have to get back to editing that together.
Yeah.
Ah! I have the slave driver of a boss who's kept me pretty busy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, they all say that.
Yeah, they all say that, but did I pull off a miracle today?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you all heard it, folks. Me, I pulled off the miracle today.
Yeah. And for me, you can get me on LinkedIn, Busypedia, Twitter at Sonata Grayson, at Movietime Indie, on Facebook, on most social type things like Stage 32. You can also get me on www.pastlivesproductionsinc.net. And for all of you as well, like I have often said, if you cannot find me, you are not stalking me hard enough. Olaf, would you care to tell them where they can wish you happy birthday at?
Well, it's like you either on Facebook or Twitter at Olaf Barbosa. And since I wasn't here, you can't stalk me, so we'll just let it go at that.
Excellent. And with that, folks, we will be seeing you on Friday.
So long.
See ya.